What's up, everybody? This is Julie with another episode of My Favorite Episode of. Today we have Jenny joining us. So Jenny, thank you for coming on.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
Yay, I'm glad that you're excited. We are also very excited to have you. Today we're going to be talking about Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Season 7, Episode 7, CharDee MacDennis.
It is in my opinion, I think it's the perfect episode to come into if you've never watched it.
Yes, it was absolutely hilarious. Before we jump into it, I just want you to give everyone a little summary about the show, just for those that don't watch the show, so they kind of can get some idea of what the show's about.
It's really incredible, the life of this show. It's been around for 15 years now. It is the longest running, I believe, live action show at this point. I think it beat Ozzie and Harriet. It was like something ridiculous like that. And I came into it in its second season. I was in college. So it has been a very important part of my adulthood in terms of TV shows. And it's just, the reason it keeps working is that it's kind of like Seinfeld. In fact, I remember a review of it in its first season being, it's Seinfeld on crack. And it is about nothing. It's about these really terrible people. Is this a podcast I can swear on? Because it'll be very difficult talking about this if I cannot.
Yes, you can.
Okay, great. So it's just extremely shitty people, the worst of the worst. And they own a bar in South Philly, which is so funny because it used to be a shitty area of Philly. And since this beginning of the show, it's actually become like a really nice, awesome area of the city. But let's just keep with it being shitty just for the sake of the show. And no, it's just incredible chemistry among these people. And they really just take all the risks you can possibly imagine that you can with a show about nothing. It's just a bunch of shitty people being shitty and how they affect everything around them. And it's pure hilarity.
Totally.
And I hope it never ends.
It's so funny. And they are the shittiest of people, but I think they're amazing. So I think that makes me equally a shitty person.
It's cathartic, right?
Yes.
I mean, it is cathartic watching these people knowing that you'll never do what these people are doing.
Exactly. But you support every single thing that they're doing.
100%. And me personally, there's a character named Charlie who I see as my little baby bird. He is the only innocent among them, but he was corrupted by them. So I really don't think he's a shitty person. I just think he's with shitty people and as a result does shitty things.
Yep. That's like Matt with me and my brother Brian. He's extremely innocent, but between two shitty people, he just becomes equally as shitty. So,
we're just human, right?
Yes, we all make mistakes. So why is this your favorite episode?
So, okay. I was trying to be very considerate because, like, if I'm being honest, this isn't my all-time favorite. This is my all-time favorite television show. So it was very hard to pick. And I picked this because due to the fact that the character of Frank is a fish out of water who has never played a game that they're playing in this episode, he needs every step explained to him. So to me, if I was to introduce this show that means so much to me to someone new, which I have done quite a few times, I would use this as their introduction because you really get a sense of who these people are and the chaos that they live in. And it's one of those things where I would love to play this game, but I never, ever, ever want to go to a place that is hosting this game.
Yeah.
Those are not people I want to be around. Those are not people that anyone should be around, and I would need the cops on standby.
Absolutely. I know one of the questions I was going to ask you is, would you play this game? Because I would 1,000% play this game.
So that's the thing. It's like, there's too many twists and turns. There's too many ways that it can turn physically violent that I can't in good conscience agree to play this game.
Oh, I totally could.
I would end up in jail. I would end up like Frank, and I'd have to eat the ingredients of a cake. We'll get into it. But I would end up like Frank, and I would be very, very sick by the end of the night.
Yeah, I mean that's fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
What Frank has to do is pretty foul. But it just makes
I do love the idea of smashing glasses and screaming like a New Zealand warrior.
Yeah,
you know?
Totally. You just like get to let loose. And I just think of when me and my friends get together, we love playing the game Kings, which like is a game that we've played since high school, and we just like love it so much. And I don't know if you're familiar with Kings, but there's just like a beer, any sort of like alcoholic beverage in the middle of the table, surrounded by a deck of cards like spread around it, and you pick a card, and each card like means something. And if you pick a king, you have to create a rule, which kind of reminded me of like how this game works that they have. It's just like a bunch of like crazy ass rules, and in certain letters they can't curse, or certain levels
so seriously.
Yes. And so anytime we play kings and I pick a king, I always say, if you say a curse word, you have to put your chin on the table until someone else curses, because it's like the absolute worst. Like that is so uncomfortable. And all of my friends are just potty mouths. So like it's just like one person will be like, haha, like you fucking suck. And then like they have to put their chin down, and then it's like 30 seconds later, like damn, this is bullshit. And then it's like, oh, like we just like think it's like the greatest thing, because it's like the worst. Putting your chin on a table until someone else curses is just the worst, and Matt's doing it right now.
That's funny. I would actually be interested to find out if that was the story behind this episode, if like that they were playing kings and we're like, wouldn't it be funny if the Sunny Gang had their own version of this? Because it is very similar to that.
Yes, it absolutely is. And that's why I was like, damn, I would totally play this, because it's literally like kings on crack.
Which character do you think you would reflect? Because they each take the game seriously in a different way.
Probably Charlie.
Because I think I'd be like Mac. I'd end up trying to flip the game table.
Yeah. No, the reason I say Charlie is so just so everyone knows, like they have a deck of cards basically, but not like playing cards. They have like note cards where they made up everything. So they made up like what they have to do. Like one of the questions is, what's the best band in the world? And it's Chumbawamba is the answer, which is hilarious.
Yes. It's trivia.
Yeah. So like it's not actual like facts. It's just shit that they made up.
Yeah, it's more to prove how they know each other.
Exactly.
It's like a memory game,
and
basically.
The one that Charlie makes up, I forget like what it is. It's like it's like written all like crababbled, and Mac's like, oh, Charlie, like you're gonna get this. You totally wrote it. And he's just like, I don't think I wrote this one. And like that would be me. Like I'd be like, yeah, doesn't sound familiar.
The backstory is that Charlie's illiterate, so it's very clear when he's written something, and he writes, "Dennis is an asshole. Why Charlie hate?"
Yeah.
And my favorite part of that moment, so this is like a trivia thing. There's levels. We should probably explain the rules, but really you should just watch the episode.
Yes.
But there's these levels, and in the first level, they're doing these trivia cards, and Mac and Charlie are a team, and they pick up the trivia card, and the question is, Dennis is asshole. Why Charlie hate? And so it's so obvious that Charlie wrote that, but Charlie is insisting he didn't write it. And then my favorite part of that is watching Dennis.
Yes.
Dennis cannot. He is trying so hard to contain it, but his entire face is cherry red, and his neck muscles are just bursting. He literally looks like he's about to have an aneurysm. Yeah. And then when Charlie gets it wrong, he just screams, because Dennis is a bastard man. And there's no way I could do it justice. Glenn Howerton is the most wonderful sociopath to ever be put on television.
Totally
Dexter can go suck it, because he is the man and he'll never be caught. So
yeah, I just like, that's why I think that, because I could easily, you don't know my fiance Kenny, but my brother does. And like Kenny is very competitive. And if we were ever on a team like this, and like I was like, I definitely didn't write that one. Like Kenny'd be like, "What the fuck? Yes, you fucking did. Yes, you fucking did." Like, and like how Charlie's like, pass, and Mac's like, "No, just say something. Just say something." And he's just
pass.
Like, pass. And I'm just like, oh, that would totally be me.
And it is really great to see how they get creative with their not swearing, because they're not allowed to swear when they're. Is it during the entire game? It's during the entire game.
It's level 2.
Oh, it's just level 2.
It's level 2. I think it's level 2 and up, actually. So do you want to explain, because this is the first time I've seen this episode. I've seen random episodes of Always Sunny, but I wasn't like, I always liked it, but I never got fully into it where like I watched it all the time.
Which is fine. It's one of those shows where you can absolutely.
You can watch it at any time and just, it's still funny as shit. But can you just go over, like, from what you can remember, the rules are for this game? Because I think the more we reference it, people aren't going to know we are talking about.
Right. We can't let this turn into a quote off.
Yeah.
So, for sure, it's so easy to run into that. But basically, you got these two teams. They've been playing their entire time knowing each other, and they've known each other since they were very young, like I would say kindergarten age. They've all known each other. Mm-hmm. And so I believe level 1 is the trivia section, and it's just beer, because drinking is the reason for the whole game. And then level 2, is that the physical challenge part?
Yes.
Physical challenge. And level 2, you're not allowed to swear. And, oh my gosh, no, I'm going to need help. And it's just wine, right?
I think it starts with wine. Level 2 is beer. And then level 3 is hard liquor.
Yeah. And that's when it gets, like, horrifying.
Yeah. That's when people die. It's level 3 is death.
I got to say, like, I have a hard time remembering the rules. But it's like...
Yeah, and we don't have to go over every single one. But it's just basically in the sense of if you,
and then being cordial to each other between rounds.
Yes. You can't ask questions.
You can't ask questions. Yeah, you really can't ask questions or else you go to jail, which means you have to get in a dog kennel.
Yes. Which, just side note, so Frank, which is played by what the fuck's his name? Danny DeVito. I almost said John Travolta. I knew that wasn't right, but like the name John Travolta
wishes. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So everyone knows, I would hope, who Danny DeVito is. So just knowing how like small he is, and the cage, like, to me looks like it's pretty decent size, but then like it shows him in it and he's like bunched up towards the front. And I'm like, I feel like he would fit comfortably in there. But it looks like he's very uncomfortable.
Sure, it's a kennel for like a golden retriever, not a golden retriever, but a German shepherd.
Yeah, like a big dog.
Yeah. But still, he fits pretty comfortably in there.
Yeah. But yeah, so like there's just like random rules, and anytime they're asked a question and the team gets it right, they get a card. Similar to like what's that? Like apples to apples, like one of those card games where like if you get it right, you get to keep the card. So that's like how they track their points. And then if a question is asked to a team and they don't get the answer right, it goes to the other team. And if the other team gets it right, then the other team that didn't get it, I'm saying a lot of other teams, has to chug their drink. Level 2 gets interesting because when whatever team didn't get the answer right, when they have to chug, the team that got the answer right gets to count for them at their own pace. So it just flashes forward to, so the teams, I don't even know if we went over the teams, but the teams were Charlie, Mac, and Frank.
Yeah.
And then Dee and Dennis were on a team. So
this is where you see a rare example of Dee and Dennis, like, being in cahoots with each other and actually supporting each other and actually having like a twincest thing going on.
Yes.
You don't often get to see that. They usually hate each other, but this is something that they truly, truly get pleasure from.
Yes.
Yes. I want to say sexual gratification. And they make these weird eyes at each other that's just like, what was their, I don't want to know what happened in their childhood. Yeah. Like, they're very close.
Yes, they are very close in this episode.
And their group photo, their team photo. What is their team photo? It is their picture superimposed onto a romantic Fabio cover, romance novel.
Yeah, can we talk about Mac and Charlie's team photo where it's them as leprechauns?
Yeah, it's them as little leprechauns and under a rainbow.
Yeah, with a pot of gold in the corner.
You know, it's very appropriate for their sensibility.
Exactly. But overall, so Dee and Dennis are undefeated. They've never lost this game. Mac and Charlie lose every single time they play. So as you could guess in the beginning of the episode, they truly have no interest in playing this game. But they get convinced to play, especially because Frank has never played. And they get stuck with Frank on their team. And overall, it's just like they have to do the most fucked up shit, and it's really funny. They're in level 1, and Dee and Dennis are in level 2. So Mac and Charlie get an answer wrong. They have to chug, and they have to chug for 5 seconds. And they're like flipping out, and Frank's like if it's 5 seconds, it's fine. And he was like, yeah, their own pace. And then it flashes forward, and like they're like 4, and like you can see that like there's just like alcohol pouring all over the ones that are chugging, and like the bottles of wine are empty.
Right, because something that's very interesting when you're just like jumping into this is that this is the season of Fat Mac.
Yes, very fat Mac.
Very fat Mac. So
one would call him a Big Mac. Heyo.
Yes. So the characters of Mac and Sweet D, which is the only girl in the group, are played by real life married couple. And just before this season aired, D had just had a baby, their first child. And Mac gained just a little bit of sympathy weight, like with their time alone. And then he was like, you know what? I'm going to be fat this season. So he purposefully gained 50 pounds. And that was just for a year. And then he lost it for the next season. And like now he's like scary ripped, like too ripped in my opinion. But this was his season. Like he literally just did it as a hobby. He was fat for one season and it was very funny. So that's very interesting to see him just like extremely unhealthy, chugging this alcohol because he's breathing like so heavily, and it is really upsetting to watch.
Yeah, and that can't be healthy. I mean, just gaining 50 pounds in a year. And then...
Yeah, he went full on Christian Bale with it. It was not healthy, and I don't think Caitlin Olsen was very happy about it. But you know, he did it.
Oh
there was a whole diabetes thing. It was hilarious.
Matt, you have to post that on when we post on Instagram. Matt just showed me like a comparison of when he was fat versus when him now, and it is absolutely fascinating.
It's insane.
It's fascinating.
The thing that explains it in the show is that he just became obsessed with chimichangas. He didn't know they existed.
Oh man, that's so funny, and this, again, fascinating. I just imagine him like going like to his doctor for like the yearly times you go to your doctor.
Physical?
Yeah. And like that 1 year when he's fat, the doctor just being like, you're obese, buddy.
Yeah, he gained that in like 3 months.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's insane.
Not healthy.
It's insane. He said he had a great time doing it though.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm sure he did.
Whatever the fuck you want. It's amazing. So I do have to say, of all the crazy shit they did, of like the games that they played, my favorite was the Hungry Hungry Hippos with the grapes.
That's so funny because I have this playing in the background just to like remind myself of things. That's exactly where they are right now.
Yeah,
that is so funny. My favorite part of that is where they're like, Charlie's really good at that because he's just like a hungry hippo, and he's just like bah, bah, bah. Yeah. And he does look exactly like the game, and it's adorable. And I love Charlie so much. I love him.
Yes, I agree. He is pretty good. And just one of those things where like, even if I never play this game, because how would I get my hands on the rule book? And it's obviously not really healthy for me to play this game in real life. But if I wanted to create my own version, Hungry Hungry Hippos with grapes would 1,000% be one of like the levels.
Yes, really, literally, you just have a pitcher full of grapes, roll them onto a counter, and you just pick up as many as you can with your mouth.
I mean, it's amazing.
It's great. You could do that. Well, you shouldn't do that with children. I'm going to take that back.
Yeah, don't do it with children.
Yeah. I was going to say, oh, we'll do that at my daughter's next birthday party. No. Yeah. No, we won't.
Just stick to bobbing for apples.
Stick to bobbing for apples for sure. Or eating those donuts off the dangling string.
I actually just saw that. That is also amazing. I mean, these games that are coming out with food they weren't a thing when I was at birthday parties. The donut thing is awesome.
I will say, so you could easily, like you just said, you could easily cherry pick things that they do in this and turn it into your own version. Totally. Because there is even, and I will just tell you now, there is a sequel to this that happened 4 years later. And I definitely recommend watching that next.
Okay.
It to me, doesn't have the same magic, but it gives you more ideas and more things that you can do. And it's really funny. But they definitely knew that frat houses were going to take this and make their own version of it. So I actually did try to find some on YouTube, and it's just pure chaos. And it's really not an environment I would ever want to be a part of.
Right. Yeah, I could see it going like very quickly off the rails, especially because just being stuck in level 1, like wine is strong. Like you only need a couple glasses of wine to be like feeling good. So that just that in
Right, but
general.
you could be like Dennis and Dee. What do Dennis and Dee do to get a leg up in the game?
Do you want me to say it?
Gotta say it.
They drank water.
Yeah, they cheat. They put food coloring in water and they pretend to be drunk like the whole game.
Yeah.
And then they get caught. And if you get caught cheating, what happens? Oh, the other team gets to automatically go up a level.
Yes. And they got to go up to level 3.
I've never been to level 3. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful moment.
Yeah, it was a very exciting moment for them. And it's funny because so you don't find out that they're cheating until like right at the end of the episode. And I was like thinking like right before that, Dee's like slurring her words and like she kills it, by the way. Like I was sitting on the couch and I'm like, damn, she's wasted. Because like whatever she said, I forget like what rampage she's going on, but like she's like slurring her words perfectly. Like she seems like she is out of her mind. And then you find out that they were drinking water the entire time. It's just
yeah,
genius.
but that means that they have to do the darting challenge completely sober, and that is fucked up.
Oh yeah, why don't you tell everyone what the darting challenge is?
So they have to play darts, and the thing that makes darts special in this case is that Dennis has his hand over the bullseye. So they're trying to hit his hand. And this is where you see the weird twincest moment, because I swear to God, Dee is staring at Dennis as if she is Cersei staring at Jaime in the fight for his life.
What a great comparison.
It really looks like that because he's just standing there completely stone-faced and they get a bullseye. I mean, right through the palm of his hand, and he does not flinch. And they share this nod of just like, we've been inside of each other.
Yeah.
This is what we've been waiting for. And there are no rewards for this. It's literally just bragging rights and the ability to stomp on each other's action figures. And it's just this disturbing yet beautiful moment that you just respect these people all of a sudden.
Yeah, absolutely. Where are you from?
Connecticut.
Okay. So you wouldn't really get this reference, but I think listeners will. Always Sunny is like the Delco version of Friends.
Oh, wait. Has Matt not told you?
No. Oh, you're from
I grew
Delco.
up in Delaware
Okay.
County.
Okay.
I didn't grow up there, but my college years were in Newtown Square.
Okay. So you get it. So you
Oh,
get
yeah.
it. Yeah.
I get
So
it.
it's totally like the Delco version of the show Friends.
For sure.
And it's amazing and hilarious.
Yes. And Delaware County is a lovely, lovely area, just for the record.
Yeah, it is. Totally
It
is.
It's better than northern Pennsylvania, so.
You just see it in the news a lot, and that's fine. Okay?
Go watch Foxcatcher sometime.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, question for you.
Yes.
If you could be in this friend group, but you had to boot someone out to get in, who would you pick to who would you choose to get kicked out?
Oh, boy. I mean, I really think there's really only room for one woman in this group.
So Dee's going
to get the boot. She would go off and she'd probably do a green card marriage and just live that life for a year. And I would just take her place. And then, because then I could hang out with the waitress and Artemis. I would replace Dee. I don't know how they would live without their bird, but I would try to fill that void.
Yeah. Well, because it would probably be then like a competition, right? Between like which chick is better. So if it was
she would literally try to murder me. Yeah. She'd poison me.
Yeah. But you could easily just say you're like Mac's twin.
That's true.
Or Charlie's
that's the
twin.
Thing is like,
Charlie's mom.
I think
You're Charlie's mom.
Oh my God, I'm Charlie's mom. I'm a whore. I probably actually should have picked the Christmas special, but
I think I've actually seen parts of that. Is that the one where Frank's hiding in the couch? Yeah, I've seen like
hiding in the couch.
I've seen like parts of like I don't think I've seen the whole thing, but I've seen like parts of that episode.
I definitely recommend it because they do a claymation thing that looks like Rudolph, and it's incredible.
And truly, I love Christmas specials beautiful. Of shows. Like I love holiday specials of any type of show. So.
I usually do it back to back with the Stephen Colbert one.
Okay.
Because like one's wholesome and the other is the opposite.
Yeah, completely. Just two completely different vibes. One of the other questions I had for you was who your favorite character was, but I'm assuming that's Charlie.
Charlie's literally my favorite television character of all time.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny because it's not like I'm attracted to him or anything. I think I literally see him as something I need to protect. And
your baby bird.
He's my little baby bird. And just every storyline of his is the most fun for me. And then there's one episode that I would have loved to talk about, but I know nothing. I don't know enough about cinematography to talk about. And it's called Charlie Work. And it's where you follow a day in the life of Charlie. And it's a one shot. They were trying to do True Detective. I also think it's kind of like Birdman. And it is absolutely gorgeous. And it's so well done. And his character is perceived to be the dumbest, and he absolutely is clinically, but also he's the most complex character. At least he was until Mac. They have revealed in the last few years that Mac is very complicated because he's gay. And actually last season, they ended the season with, I am not trying to be funny here, one of the most moving and beautiful episodes about coming out that I've ever seen on television. And he did it through a ballet. This sounds insane, but that is what Sunny and Philly has been able to achieve because it's a show about nothing. They can literally do whatever they want. And this season, the last season, they chose to highlight the agony of coming out to a family that will not accept you through ballet. And it made me weep. And I remember seeing on gay Reddit, basically, a conversation for weeks about how important it was and what it did for representation, because this is an extremely, on the surface, misogynistic show. It's, I've changed a lot in the years. I was 18 when I started watching this show, and I was not into feminism, and I was not into the news. I wasn't into any of that stuff, but I've grown a lot, and I can honestly say that a lot of stuff they did in the past would be considered problematic today, but they've grown with their audience, and that's what makes it continue to be successful.
Yeah. Absolutely. I looked when you first started talking about that, like I looked at Matt with a really confused face because I'm like, wait a second, he's married to Dee, but I forgot that in the show he's not married to Dee at all.
No, they hate each other. What? Yeah. They've
so that's interesting.
That's another thing that makes it work is that none of them date each other. The only thing that's close is that Charlie and Frank share a bed, and they might be father and son.
Okay, now I'm wishing that I stuck with the show.
You can just jump in there.
Yeah, I should.
Honestly, you don't need to know anything. It'll explain, you'll get the point. Like, you could say that about any episode. There's a great episode. Maybe I won't say great. There was a fun episode where they all get electrocuted and they wake up and they're black. They're black people. And it becomes a musical like The Wiz. And
oh my God.
Very funny until it's not. It has a very upsetting ending that really speaks to the current social climate. They're amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just seems like it's like one of those shows where it's not like similar to how like The Office is. Like it's a comedy, but there's also they pull at your heart sometimes where you get like super emotional about like it just takes like a weird turn where you're used to it just like always being like funny and you're laughing, and then like it just takes like a weird turn where like you're like, oh, I'm crying at an episode of The Office, or like I'm crying at an episode of Always Sunny.
And with that Mac ballet, there was a beautiful piece of acting from Danny DeVito in particular. And you forget, because he's been doing this show for 13 years, you forget what a great actor he is. And that episode just like, I probably should have picked. There's so many episodes I should have picked. But like, I remember seeing a lot of straight white men very confused and upset that they had to emote. After that episode. It was very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, you can always come back to talk about other episodes. So
I am
just
so
take that into consideration. But that's actually all I have written down. Was there anything else you wanted to go over? I didn't know if you
To
had
be
like
honest,
notes. I know you're watching.
If we went
it, so.
any further, it would just be trying to evoke the spirit of something, and that's literally impossible to do over an audio format.
Yeah.
You have to watch it and just understand that, you know, it's one of those things where you can't explain chemistry. You have to see it.
Yeah. Yep.
It's this show relies entirely, I mean, these are very talented people, don't get me wrong, but it relies entirely on the chemistry between 5 people, and they form just a gorgeous ecosystem of comedy.
Agreed. And like I said, I mean, I only watched this episode from probably the last time I watched it was 2011. So I haven't watched it in a really long time. And I kind of was like, man, this show was really good. I wish I didn't stop watching it. So it is just one of those shows where like, I feel like you watch one episode and you're like kind of hooked. I mean, for some people, it might not be their form of comedy and they might totally just not be into it. But definitely highly, for those of you listening that's never watched the show, I highly suggest taking a, you know, a quick look at one episode, maybe the one we're talking about, or the first episode of the first season, whatever floats your boat. But at least check it out, especially if you're into the comedy types of shows, because it's definitely one that'll make you laugh.
Yeah, after you watch this, if you pop over to season 11, episode 1, that's the sequel to it, and it's where they're trying to sell it to a toy company. And very funny follow-up, and it's 4 years later. So they'll be a little older, not wiser, but older. And I gotta say too, like this show is tied to my years in Delaware County, where my house was the party house, and this and unfortunately Family Guy were always in the background, one or the other.
Yeah.
And
me and Kenny, my fiance, love Family Guy. We watch Family Guy all the time.
Oh, yeah. Well, we had the first 4 seasons on DVD just constantly playing, and then everyone would pass out, and you just heard the DVD menu over and over and over and over.
The worst. That used to be the worst. People. I used to, when I didn't have a cable box in my room, so I used to always, this is a secret that no one should really know, but I used to watch.
Secrets out to the public.
I used to watch Laguna Beach season 1.
Oh, snap.
And I'd always wake up at 3 a.m. to like the menu option playing, and it would just be like, let the rain fall down. Like, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, Hill, shut up. And I would like turn it off. But it just made me think of that when you were like, you just hear the music playing. It just took me back to my bedroom 6 years ago when I would just watch Laguna Beach season 1 before bed every single night.
DVD menus.
I know, they get you. But all right, well, that wraps it up for today's episode. Thank you again, Jenny, for coming on the show. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Tune in next week for another episode.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network. You're listening to the Geekscape Network.